Gentlemen, if you're over 50 and thinking about dating again, I need to tell you something that might save you from months of heartbreak and confusion. As a woman who's witnessed countless mature men make the same devastating mistakes over and over again, I'm about to reveal the 7 critical errors that are sabotaging your chances before you even realize it. And here's the brutal truth. These aren't the mistakes you think they are. They're not about your age, your looks, or your bank account. They're about outdated strategies that worked in your 30s but are relationship poison in your 50s. Let me paint you a picture. Last month, I watched a successful 52-year-old architect, handsome, financially stable, emotionally available, completely blow it with 3 different women. Not because he wasn't good enough, but because he was making these exact mistakes. And make sure you watch until mistake number 7, because that's the one that's silently destroying your chances with quality women, and most men over 50 have no idea they're even doing it. But before we dive in, if you're a man who's ready to stop making the same dating mistakes and start attracting the right woman with confidence and clarity, hit that like button. And if you haven't already, subscribe and ring the bell, because on this channel, we don't sugarcoat the truth, we serve it straight. Also, drop a comment and let me know what city you're watching from. I love connecting with viewers from all over the world. Mistake 1. Apologizing for your past instead of owning your story. The first mistake I see men over 50 make is treating their divorce, their past relationships, or their life choices like a criminal record they need to defend. I call this the apology tour. And gentlemen, it's killing your attractiveness before you even get started. Here's how it usually sounds. I'm sorry, I'm divorced. I know that's probably not what you want to hear. I mean, I tried to make it work, but she just... Well, it's complicated. I don't want you to think I'm damaged goods or anything. Stop right there. When you apologize for your life experience, you're essentially telling a woman that you see yourself as less valuable because of your past. And if you don't value your own journey, why should she? Women in their 40s and 50s aren't looking for men with perfect histories. They're looking for men who have learned from their experiences and can articulate their growth without shame. Your divorce isn't a flaw. It's evidence that you took a chance on love, learned valuable lessons, and you're wise enough to know what you want now. Instead of saying, I'm sorry, I'm divorced, try this. I was married for 20 years, learned a lot about myself and what makes a relationship work, and now I'm excited to build something new with the right person. That's attractive. That's confidence. That's a man who owns his story instead of apologizing for it. The same applies to your career changes, your health challenges, your parenting journey. Whatever your story is, own it with pride. Because when you frame your past as valuable experience rather than shameful baggage, you completely change how women perceive you. Mistake number 2 is using the same dating playbook you used decades ago. The game has changed, gentlemen, and so should your strategy. I see so many men trying to dust off their old moves, and it's painful to watch. Picture this scenario. You take her to dinner at a generic restaurant. You try to play it cool by waiting 3 days to text. You talk about your accomplishments to impress her, and you use the same flirting techniques that worked in 1995. Meanwhile, she's sitting across from you thinking, this man has no idea who I am or what I actually want. Here's what's different about dating after 50. Women your age have already dealt with players and pretenders. They can smell authenticity from a mile away, and they have zero patience for games. They don't want to be impressed by your car or your credit score. They want to be understood, valued, and intellectually stimulated. At 50 plus, women want depth, not games. They want authentic connection, not your resume. They want to feel like you see them as a complete person, not just a conquest or a way to fill the loneliness. So instead of taking her to that same steakhouse you've been using since the Clinton administration, plan dates that showcase who you are. Art galleries, cooking classes, hiking trails, bookstore browsing, farmers markets, activities that create natural conversation and reveal your interests and values. Instead of waiting days to text because you think it makes you seem busy, respond when you actually want to talk to her. Authenticity beats strategy every single time. Instead of trying to impress her with stories about your success, ask questions that show you're genuinely curious about her thoughts, her dreams, her perspective on life. Remember, you're not trying to win a competition, you're trying to find a compatible partner. And that requires showing up as your real self, not some outdated version of who you think women want. The third mistake is the most heartbreaking one I see, trying to compete with men half your age instead of leveraging your unique advantages. I watch men over 50 kill themselves at the gym, desperately trying to look 35 again, or worse, completely giving up because they think they can't compete. Let me share something that might surprise you. I asked 100 women between 45 and 60 what they find most attractive in a potential partner. Want to know what topped the list? It wasn't six-pack abs or a full head of hair. It was emotional stability, life experience, and a man who knows who he is. Here's the internal monologue I hear from men all the time. She'll probably prefer someone younger, fitter, with more energy. Why would she choose me when she could have a guy in his 30s? But here's what women in their 40s and 50s actually think about men in their 30s. He's probably not ready for something serious. He hasn't lived enough life to know what he wants. He might want kids when I'm done with that chapter. He probably doesn't understand the complexity of balancing career, family, and personal growth. Your advantages as a man over 50 are massive, but only if you own them. You have emotional maturity. You don't throw tantrums when things don't go your way. You have financial stability. You're not figuring out your career while trying to build a relationship. You have life experience. You've navigated real challenges and come out stronger. You have better communication skills. You've learned that problems are solved through conversation, not silence or drama. And here's the big one. You have less drama. You're not trying to prove yourself to anyone. You're not competing with your friends or seeking validation from strangers. You know who you are, and that kind of centered energy is incredibly attractive to women who are tired of emotional chaos. Have you ever felt intimidated by younger competition? Type experience if you're ready to embrace what makes you valuable. Mistake number 4 might surprise you. Rushing physical intimacy because you think that's what's expected. I see this constantly, and it breaks my heart because it comes from such a well-meaning place. Many men feel pressure to perform quickly, worried that if they don't move fast enough, she'll lose interest or think there's something wrong with them. You might be thinking, I need to show her I'm still virile, still desirable, still capable. But here's what's actually happening in her mind. Mature women value emotional connection first. They want to feel safe, understood, and valued before they become vulnerable physically. When you rush toward physical intimacy, it can feel like you're more interested in proving something to yourself than in truly connecting with her. This doesn't mean being passive or waiting forever. It means reading her cues, building emotional intimacy first, and letting physical attraction develop naturally alongside emotional connection. Women over 40 have learned that great intimacy comes from feeling emotionally safe and genuinely desired, not just physically wanted. The pressure to perform quickly often comes from fear. Fear that she'll change her mind, fear that you're not enough, fear that age has somehow diminished your appeal. But that fear creates exactly the rushed, disconnected energy that pushes quality women away. Instead, focus on creating emotional intimacy first. Share your thoughts, your dreams, your perspectives. Ask about hers. Build inside jokes. Create moments of genuine laughter and connection. Let her see your character, your values, your way of moving through the world. When physical intimacy happens from this foundation, it's not about performance, it's about genuine desire and connection. And that's what creates the kind of passionate, lasting relationships that men are actually looking for. The 5th mistake is emotional dumping, treating every date like a therapy session. I understand why this happens. By 50, you've lived through some real challenges. You've probably been hurt, disappointed, maybe even betrayed. You have legitimate stories of struggle and growth. But here's what I see happening. Men think that being authentic means sharing every wound, every disappointment, every bitter lesson on the first few dates. They talk constantly about their ex-wife, complain about their job, their health, their finances, or vent about modern dating, dating apps, or how women these days are different. Let me be clear. This isn't authenticity. This is emotional dumping. And it's exhausting for women who are also carrying their own life experiences and looking for someone who can bring lightness and joy to their world. Here's how emotional dumping usually sounds. My ex-wife really did a number on me. She took half of everything and poisoned my kids against me. I'm still dealing with the financial mess. And don't get me started on these dating apps. Women my age either want someone rich or someone 20 years younger. I almost gave up on dating entirely because it's all so fake and shallow now. Contrast that with this approach. My marriage taught me a lot about what I value in a partnership. I'm grateful for the experience because it helped me understand what I'm really looking for now. I'm excited to find someone who shares my interests and values. The difference is profound. One approach makes you the victim of your circumstances. The other makes you the author of your next chapter. This doesn't mean hiding your past or pretending everything has been perfect. It means processing your experiences privately or with a therapist, and then bringing the wisdom you've gained to your dating life, not the wounds. Early dates should be about discovering joy together, not processing pain together. Save the deeper, more vulnerable conversations for when you've built a foundation of trust and connection. Mistake 6, ignoring your health and appearance. Mistake number 6 is thinking that because you're older, your appearance doesn't matter anymore. I hear this all the time. I'm not 25 anymore, so what's the point of trying to look good? Gentlemen, attraction still matters. But it's not about looking 30 again. It's about looking like the best version of your current self. When you neglect your appearance, you're not just being lazy. You're sending a message about how much you value yourself and, by extension, how much you'd value a partner. I'm not talking about expensive clothes or plastic surgery. I'm talking about basic self-care that shows you respect yourself and understand that first impressions matter. Regular grooming, keeping your hair neat, your facial hair trimmed, your nails clean. Well-fitting clothes that flatter your current body, not the body you had 20 years ago. A basic fitness routine that keeps you energetic and confident. And here's the deeper truth. Good hygiene and self-care aren't just about attracting women, they're about how you feel about yourself. When you look in the mirror and like what you see, when you feel strong and energetic, when you're comfortable in your own skin, that confidence radiates outward. Women pick up on this immediately. When you take care of yourself, it signals that you'll take care of her too. It shows self-respect, discipline, and that you understand you're worth the effort. Self-respect is incredibly attractive at any age, but especially after 50, when many people have simply given up on themselves. This doesn't mean obsessing over every grey hair or trying to compete with men half your age. It means presenting yourself as a man who values himself enough to put in basic effort. Good posture, confident eye contact, clothes that fit well, and the energy that comes from taking care of your health. Remember, you're not trying to look younger. You're trying to look like a man who respects himself and expects others to respect him too. And here's mistake number 7. The one that destroys more potential relationships than all the others combined. Settling for anyone who shows interest instead of being selective about who deserves your time. I get it. Dating at 50 plus can feel daunting. The pool feels smaller. There are more complications. Kids, careers, ex-spouses, established routines. There's more fear that this might be your last chance, or that you're too old to be picky. But desperation is the least attractive quality a man can have. When you settle, you're not just doing yourself a disservice, you're being unfair to her too. You're entering a relationship from a place of scarcity rather than abundance, fear rather than excitement. I see this constantly. Men who accept behavior they wouldn't have tolerated in their 30s because they're afraid of being alone. Men who ignore red flags because she's interested and that's enough. Men who compromise on fundamental values because, at my age, I can't afford to be choosy. Here's what settling looks like in practice. You overlook the fact that she's consistently late or cancels plans because, at least she's dating me. You ignore that she's rude to waiters or dismissive of your interests because she's attractive and available. You accept that she doesn't seem genuinely interested in your thoughts or feelings because she laughs at my jokes sometimes. But here's the truth. You are not too old to have standards. You are not too flawed to deserve real compatibility. You are not so lucky to have any interest that you should accept anything less than genuine connection and mutual respect. Know your worth. Know what you bring to the table. Your experience, your wisdom, your emotional stability, your capacity for deep love. Know what you need in a partner, not just what would be nice to have, but what you actually need for a relationship to work. You should be looking for emotional compatibility, shared values and life goals, mutual respect and attraction, healthy communication patterns, and someone who's in a similar life stage with similar availability for a relationship. This doesn't mean being unreasonably picky or having an impossible checklist. It means understanding that a mediocre relationship is worse than being single, and that settling for anyone who shows interest is a betrayal of the love you're actually capable of giving and receiving. The architect I mentioned at the beginning. After we talked through these exact mistakes, he completely transformed his approach. 3 months later, he met Sarah, a 49-year-old teacher who appreciates his stability, loves his sense of humor, and values the depth of connection that only comes with life experience. They're planning a trip to Italy together next month, but you have to choose to show up as that man. You have to choose to value yourself enough to do the work. You have to choose to believe that you deserve real love, not just any love. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these mistakes hit closest to home? Which one are you going to work on first? Drop a comment below. I read every single one, and your story might help another man realize he's not alone in this journey. And if this video opened your eyes or gave you hope, please hit that like button and subscribe. Because here on this channel, we don't just talk about dating, we talk about becoming the kind of person who attracts the right kind of love. We've got so much more content coming that will help you navigate this chapter of your life with confidence and clarity. Until next time, remember, you're not starting over, you're starting better, and the woman who's meant for you, she's worth the wait, worth the work, and worth showing up as your best self for.